Welcome to this week's session with the Putnam County District Library. This week we are looking at how you can edit images in Google Docs. So some of those things that you might often see where someone has taken an image and maybe taken part of the image and cut it away, or maybe you've taken a color image and made it black and white. Those are some very simple things that you can do even right within Google Docs. So we're going to start off here, and I've got this first Google Doc page labeled dog. All I did was I went to my Google account, logged in, went and opened up Google Doc here. So I'm going to simply go to my insert where I can go to image, and I'm going to upload this from my computer. So right here I have an image of a dog, and I'm going to open that up and place that image into my document. So when I do that, what you see, there's several ways that you can then make changes and alter this image. So if I click on the image itself, notice I get my crosshairs around the top. This automatically popped up because I've had it open in the past, but that did because if I were to click here on the side here, I can go to my edit and open anything up there. But I also have my image options here is where I am at, that I opened this up here on the right hand side. I can also go under format as well and go down to image here, would do the same thing if I go to image options, and I can also go here to my three dots. So any of those three ways will open up your image options. So I've got image options here. And notice that these are currently open because, again, if you have been in here in the past, it's going to open some of that stuff back up. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to recolor. If I go to recolor, this is where I can change the appearance of my picture in terms of the coloring. So I could pick one of these other options here, say for some reason I wanted to make my image a green cast. I could change that, any of these options. But this is where I'm going to change it back to no color before I make this last change, because this is where that option is if you were wanting to change something over to black and white. This changed it to the grayscale. Again, if I wanted to take an image and make it look old, I can do the same thing here with the coloring. I'm going to change this color. I always change it back to no color before I make the change, just because sometimes I feel like it might alter the image a little bit differently. So I've got it set to grayscale. So now I've got a black and white image. That is the first thing that we wanted to look at, is how to change the color. But then if I go down to adjustments and open that tab up, and close this one up, I'm going to open this tab. Now this is where I have my opacity. This is where I have my brightness. So if I wanted to alter and change anything, I could do that here. Obviously you want to watch these closely because it can change it greatly. And I can always just go here to reset, and it'll take me back to what is the original. Notice the opacity is 100, 0, and 0. So that is the first thing that we're going to look at. The next thing is I have a document here that's titled Kitten. This is where I'm going to look at and show you how, in terms of cropping an image and doing a couple other extra things. When we are all said and done with this, I do have the directions for everything here on another tab that I will pull up that will then show on the video. So I'm going to go do the same thing here. I'm going to do an insert. I'm going to go to image. And again, I'm going to upload from my computer, and I have an image of a cat this time, and it's actually a kitten. I've got my image, and this one I want to actually go in, and I am going to crop. So this is a little bit different. I'm not at my image options, but again, I need to click on the image itself, get my little crosshairs, but I'm just going to go up here now to my toolbar where I have crop image. When I do that, notice how those change, and I have a different appearance to the crosshairs around my image. I'm going to shrink this up. I just don't want so much of the grass showing. Notice that's still kind of there, grayed out, and it'll be there until I click away from, either I hit enter or I click away from the image, and now it is gone. So the other part of this is how you can actually put some type of a border around any picture you have. Sometimes that can help the picture stand out a little bit more. So if I click here on the picture itself and I were to go to format, notice below image is where borders and lines are. So again, there's other options, there's other ways to go at this, but this is for myself, I find the easiest. So if I click on borders and lines, I have these different types of options as well as how big the line itself will appear. I want a solid line, and then I am going to notice I clicked on that, so I do have the solid line there already. But notice I'm going to go back here, I'm going to go to format, borders and lines, and I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. Now what you'll see happen here with this image, so I might actually want to go back and make some changes, because what I couldn't tell before with this image was that part of this image actually had the white here across the top. So what I could do now is maybe, let's just say I go in, I undo, so I no longer have that. But notice how it's very faint and you didn't really notice it before. So I could go back here, do the same thing. Let's go back up, let's do, click on the image itself so I can crop. And I am going to move this down just a touch. And if I move this image, move it so it's down just a little bit, I am going to then click away, and I should be getting rid of that. There we go. Click away, and I'm going to get rid of that. So now let's try it again and see, because it's going to depend a little bit on the formatting of my picture itself. So let's go back. Let's go back to format. Let's go to borders and lines. Let's pick the weight, and now notice now actually what's happened now, I can see I've got some around the bottom. So that's how you would put a frame around your image. And again, I can change the color, I can adjust that to be whatever I would want. The last thing is I'm going to talk to you about is just because if you're doing anything that involves pictures and putting something on the internet in terms of a web page, you have to keep in mind that not everyone visually might be seeing the images. So you need to make sure that when you have an image that you have what is called the alternate text, so that it would be read to an individual. So if I were to go here to my last option, notice all I did was click on the picture so that this popped back up. I'm going to go down to alternate text, and I'm going to put, kitten in the grass. And so now that is my description that is explaining my kitten and what is going on in the picture. So now that is connected with this image. It's not something I'm going to visually see here, but it is something that is going to, if I had this on a web page and someone scrolls over it, it will read to them what that image is. So I am going to take this back here to the directions just one more time here. So we looked at how you can change the color, the brightness, the transparency, or the contrast of a picture, and then the directions are listed. We looked at how you can crop an image, and again, the directions are listed there, how you can add a frame, and how you could add alternate text to an image. Those are the 4 different avenues and ways of going about taking images into a Google Doc and making the changes. I hope everyone has a fantastic week, and we'll see you next week with more tips and tricks.